Welcome back to That's Stitchtastic. My name is Angela, and I am your knitting instructor as well as your yarn craft cheerleader. This video lesson, we will be covering the knit on cast on. Now, before we knit, we need to get a beginning row of stitches or our foundation row of stitches. We do that by what is called casting on. Now, one of the easiest cast-ons is the knit on cast-on. This cast-on gives a good solid foundation row of stitches that is firm but yet has a little bit of flexibility and elasticity. Now I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So before we start our first row of stitches, we need to start with a slip knot, which is what we made in our previous video. So we need a slip knot on our knitting needle, and we only need a tail. We don't need a very long tail. We need a tail that's long enough to weave in once we're done with our project. But we start with one slip knot on our needle, and we hold that needle with the slip knot in our left hand. So I'm going to start with the blue needle with the slip knot in my left hand, and then my other knitting needle will be held in the right hand. Now, when you are knitting in, or when you are working into a stitch, or into a stitch is simply the loop that is on the needle. You want to think of this as the foundation of the stitch, and this right here underneath at the bottom of the needle is the base of your stitch. So when we work into a loop or into a stitch, we want to always work into the base of the stitch. Now to get started, I always like to put my index finger on this first loop, which is our slip knot, to keep it in place so it doesn't fall off while I'm working into it. And then my right hand needle, I'm going to take my right hand needle point and I'm going to go in to this loop. I'm not going to go behind the loop. I'm not going to go beside the loop. I'm going to put my knitting needle into the loop from the left side of this stitch through the loop from the front towards the back, and my needle is going to crisscross and back. Now I'm going to show you that one more time. I'm going to try to get this loop just a little bit bigger so you can see what I'm doing. So here is my loop or my slip knot. My right knitting needle is going to go into this loop from the left side of the loop, go through the loop from front to back, and crisscross and back. Now this is what it looks like when you look at it from top. You see that my knitting needle, my right knitting needle, is going clearly through this loop. And when that happens, the foundation of this slip knot kind of shifts towards the back, and that's okay. But you want to go into to the slip knot from the left side, front to back, and crisscross and back. Now I like to, with my two fingers and my thumb, I will actually pinch these two needles together to keep them in place while I'm working. And then with my other hand, it could be your left hand or it could be your right hand, whichever you prefer, you're going to pick up your working yarn. Do not pick up your tail yarn. Pick up your working yarn, and you are going to make one loop around this needle, around your right hand needle, counterclockwise. So you're going to go around counterclockwise. Okay, I'm going to show you that one more time. So you are going to go pick up your working yarn, go around your right hand needle, and then you want to slide your right hand needle. The point of this is going to slide back through this stitch right here from the back to the front, and I will put my index finger on the tip of this needle to keep my new loop from falling off. So now this is going to come through See if you can see it from the bottom. Do you see how I'm pulling this through to the front? And here is my new stitch. Now I need to make a foundation of stitches, a row of stitches on this needle, so I need to add this stitch to this needle. So how I'm going to do that is my left hand needle, this needle right here, is going to rotate down, and from underneath I'm going to pick up this stitch off the right hand needle, and then my right hand needle can pull out. Okay, so now we have 2 stitches on our needle. But you say, wait a minute, I started with a slip knot and a stitch, so I should only have 1 stitch, right? No. When you are knitting, when you are casting on, your slip knot always counts as 1 stitch. So I have a slip knot plus a stitch, meaning I have 2 stitches. Alright, I'm going to show you that again. So this is my stitch. My right hand needle is going to go through right here, the base of my stitch, from the left side of my stitch, front to back, crisscross and back. And then I'm going to pick up my working yarn and wrap around my right hand needle, this needle and back, counterclockwise. So it's like I'm going to wrap around counterclockwise, and then I'm gently going to slide the right hand needle back from the back to the front through the stitch, and here's my new stitch. And now my left hand needle is going to rotate down, and from underneath pick up this new stitch, and I can slide my right hand needle off. And then just give your working yarn a little bit of a tug to make it nice and snug up against your needle. Now you have 3 stitches. This is the knit on cast on. So I'm going to show you this 2 more times. And then I'm going to stop the video and let you practice this until you have 15 stitches on your needle. Okay, so I'm going to go into this stitch right here, the base of the stitch, from the left side of the stitch through to the back, crisscross and back. Now I'm going to show you how wrapping with your left hand. So I'm picking up my working yarn and I'm wrapping counterclockwise. And again, this index finger I usually put on the tip of my needle and guide this needle through the stitch to the front, and there's my new stitch. I'm going to rotate down in front and pick up from underneath, and now I have 4 stitches. Now I'm going to do this 1 more time. Okay, I'm going to into the stitch, wrap counterclockwise, and then bring it through to the front and pick up the stitch. Now you have 5 stitches on your needle. Alright, now this is the knit on cast on. Keep practicing on your own until you have 15 stitches on your needle. Keep practicing. I'm going to keep working too until I have 15 stitches on my needle. And I will see you in the next video.